Hey, what is up, you sexy beasts? GhostSickness or Tristan here, and today I'm bringing another fantastic story talking about interactions with the cops on a road trip that I had of spring break of this year with my father during March 20th through March 27th. It's some pretty interesting stuff, to be 100% honest with you. There's some pretty epic stories from this trip. I'm going to be telling you some of them in today's video. First is going to be about a fake cop. So anyway, guys, we're driving home from Vancouver, Canada, and this time we passed the border. We're in Washington. Everything's going well, and we're speeding, going probably like 80 on I-5 or some shit through Washington. Having a great time, getting ready to go home in the left lane, and then eventually, in kind of the middle lane, we see a cop, and we're like, oh no, fuck, man, we're totally gonna get pulled over. Speed limit is 70, so we're going 10 miles and over the speed limit, and, we can definitely get pulled over. So, because, we're driving a 2015 Ford Taurus. Now, it doesn't sound like a great car, but it was actually pretty fast, and I'll explain why in a little bit. Maybe it had a turbo, I don't really know. But anyway, so we're like, oh, fuck, man, we can't go too fast. We don't want to pass this guy. I don't want to get pulled over. So what my dad does, he's driving at this time, right? We're driving a rental car, and he ends up pulling behind this cop, and he's staying behind this cop, right? Just chilling, and we're like, oh, man, this sucks. We got to get there sometime, man. This guy's in the middle lane. It's going to take forever, and, man, we're never going to get there. We're never going to be able to do this. So for about 15 minutes, we're talking about it, and we're just chilling behind this cop, okay? Just still going. And then eventually we see some cars come up on the left lane, and they do the same thing. They pull behind us because they don't want to pass this cop and get pulled over, that kind of thing, because you see a lot of cars get pulled over on I-5. Now, we're doing that, and we're like, okay, well, what the fuck's going on? So eventually we see this, like, van or this other car or whatever, and they're in the left lane, and they're going pretty fast, probably about 70, 75, and they end up passing this cop, and we see nothing happen, and we're like, what the fuck? So we eventually get into the left lane and start kind of getting close to this cop, right? And we find out that it's not, so they had yellow license plates and everything, okay, guys? If you don't know, yellow license plates are state owned, or at least in the state of Oregon they are, and this guy had yellow license plates, so we're like, oh man, maybe they're state owned, and it's definitely a cop car, because it was a cop car body, and he had yellow plates, and we're like, okay, man, it's definitely not past this guy, or at least it's an undercover cop. No, man, we end up getting on the same level with him and looking over. He's got a cracked windshield. He's got stuff in the windshield. Some old dude just chilling, driving his car, definitely not a cop. And this was just some old cop car that, turned into a regular car. They took off the lights and everything like that. My dad felt so fucking stupid. He felt so dumb. And we were just like, oh my god, I'm so done. Because we saw this car pass this air quote cop, and it wasn't an actual cop. So basically, we wasted about 10 or 15 minutes of our lives staying behind this guy, thinking that's an actual cop. And we ended up seeing one or two cars like that. This is the only time where we really took action and didn't do anything. Now, I have another crazy story. Now, that wasn't really a crazy story, right? That one's just kind of funny, little side note. However, this one's actually a pretty crazy story. So, in our Ford Taurus, the reason why I mention it is it had about 240 to 270 horsepower. We ended up looking it up because, goddamn, this thing was fast. If you floored it, it was an automatic. But if you floored it, man, this thing was actually really fast, and it would stick you to the seats. And so, we had a little fun on the highway a little bit, going above 100 miles an hour. Now, if you guys don't know, something about driving over 100 miles an hour, at least in America, or at least where I live or whatever, in Oregon and Washington, if you're driving over 100 miles an hour, you can actually get arrested for that. It's such a point of reckless driving that you can actually get arrested for it. And so it's a little risky. So several times on our trip, I think I was the first one to do it, got the car up to 100 miles an hour, because all you got to do is keep your foot on the floor for about 5 seconds or so after going 60, not even that long, and you'd be at 100. So this car was actually really fast and accelerated rather quickly. So it's pretty nice to kind of peel out and do that kind of shit, right? So we'd sometimes go 100 on the highway. At other times, we'd just go reasonable speeds or whatever, 80, something like that. Now, this one time, this was actually the night of going to the strip club. If you guys have not seen that story, it's fucking awesome. I don't know if I mentioned this story in that story, but anyway, basically, we went to the strip club late at night, my brother and my father and I was finally like, oh my god, we were dealing with late night traffic, and I was driving home, okay? And I'm driving home, and I finally get on I-5, and there's not a lot of traffic now, luckily, right? They all, went away, went to their own places, or whatever, and I'm like, sweet, finally I can go. And so I floor it, okay? I get the car up to 100 miles an hour, just a little bit over 100, 105, something like that. And then I come around this corner on I-5, okay? And I immediately see cop cars, okay? There's about 2 cop cars. They both have their lights on, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna go to jail. It's fucking over. You have no idea how hard I hit those brakes, okay? To get down to like a reasonable speed. But no, they were pulling over. They had already pulled over someone else, and their lights were on, and holy shit, I thought I was gonna get pulled over. Thought I was gonna get thrown in jail, man, on this road trip. It would have been absolutely insane. This is only like day 2 of our trip or some shit, and it would have been brutal. But yeah, so that's going 100 miles an hour around a corner. Totally would have got thrown in jail. That would have been really bad, especially driving the rental car and just going that fast in Washington, a state I don't live in, getting arrested in a state I don't live in. That would have been bad. So anyway, then we had another interesting interaction with the Canada police, okay? Something interesting, as we're driving toward the border, I mean, the border was like a mile up front. You could totally see it. Everything was good. And there's a car behind us. We're not really thinking anything of it. It's just a normal car, you know? I think it was a Challenger or something, right? And it was behind us. Didn't really think anything of it. And we are totally speeding, okay? The speed limit in Canada is about 100 kilometers. That's like, I think, 60 or 70 miles an hour. I think it's 60 miles an hour. So we're going, you know, 120 kilometers per hour. Definitely speeding in this zone for a long time. Just going. And there's this guy on my ass. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why is this guy on my ass? So I go to the right lane, and he just goes past. And I'm like, okay. And immediately after, he pulls someone else over. Yeah, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? He turns on his lights, pulls the other guy over. I was seriously worried that I was getting pulled over right before we got into America with decent speed limits. Because in Canada, all the speed limits are like really bad. The top one we saw was 100 kilometers an hour, and that's like 60 miles an hour, dude. I sped everywhere in Canada. My dad sped everywhere in Canada, but I was driving at this point, and I was like, oh shit. How did he not pull us over? And we had Idaho plates because this was a rental car, right? So the plates weren't from Oregon, they were from Idaho because they kind of get traded around. And we had Idaho plates, and I am so glad I did not get pulled over. It was absolutely insane. But anyway, guys, that's a fake cop story as well as some other crazy cop stories. Do not drive over 100 miles an hour. You can get arrested. It's bad, okay? Really, if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button. If we can hit 1,000 likes, that would mean the world to me. Actually, probably not 1,000 likes. Let's hit 500 likes. So let's do that. Let's be reasonable here, guys. If the like bar's not at 1,000, go ahead and get it to 2,000. Stay sexy, you beasts. I'm GhostSickness, and I'm out.